Hey guys, welcome back to Weird Watch Wednesday on the Power Network. I'm Amy, and today we're digging back into the Porch Lies, but from a whole new angle. You know the scene, Chris Watts standing on his porch, crocodile tears for the world to see, while he'd already done away with his family. But what about the reporter who had to stare the monster right in the eyes? That was Zora Stephenson, and today we're hearing her side and how that day still sticks with her. So get comfy, cue up the side eyes. We're replaying the porch tape, watching interviews of the interviewer, aka the news reporter, breaking down the fake tears and giving Zora her well earned props for keeping her cool in front of a cold blooded liar. Let's roll credits while we wait for the rest of the Power crew to roll in. A special shout out to my dragonflies. I love you.
Carefully strumming his old guitar again. Words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings, I would steal them and fly away with you for a while. Hearing the essence of gratitude, your dreamy little smile on my lips. I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day.
Here in the essence of gratitude, I am so happy to be back here with my power crew. You know, I love doing my Weird Watts Wednesday with you over on Watts Island. Today, I was thinking about the porch interview, and then I got to thinking about the interview that we did with Indigo on the porch interview and the behavioral analysis. But then I started thinking about the news reporter and what was she thinking during all this time, and did she have anything to say afterwards? So, I did my research, and that's what today's Weird Watts Wednesday is going to be about. So, before we zero in on Zora Stephenson and that porch showdown, let's rewind this horror story for the uninitiated or the true crime vets who need a little rage refresher. On August 13th, 2018, Chris Watts, the guy who looked straight into Zora's camera and begged for his missing family's safe return, he'd already unalived his pregnant wife, Shanann Watts, and their two daughters, Bella and Celeste. The very next day, August 14th, he stood on that porch in Frederick, Colorado, weaving a tale about a worried husband and father, all while knowing exactly where they were, buried in shallow grave and in some oil tanks. Zora was then with 9 News Denver. She was the reporter asking him those now infamous questions. Since then, she's gone on to make waves as an NBC sports broadcaster and a sideline reporter for the Milwaukee Bucks. But that porch interview, she says, still sits heavy in her mind and in our heavy true crime files as well. What did she see? What did we all miss? And how does she feel now knowing she stared a family annihilator dead in the face while he lied through his teeth? Well, that's what we're all about to see today. So before we get started, if we could just start that algorithm dance party that I like to do, just start warming up your fingers and dancing them right up to the hearts and thumbs up button. Helps us go out into the algorithm, party out there, bring more people back to the party. It's just a free way to help me out, and it's really, really appreciated. Let me get my screen all together for you, and we will start looking at this news reporter. Um, For those that might have missed the behavioral analysis of the Porch interview, this is it. I will link it down in the show notes. Everything that we view today, or we watch or read, or everything we view today, I will put down in the YouTube show notes. We don't always read it all. We sometimes stop and talk over it, but I do put it down in the show notes for fair play use. Everything we talk about today is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and it's all my research, and I urge you, my research and opinion, and I urge you to go out there and do your own. So this was the interview that we did with Indigo. It was really informative. This is the news reporter. This is the news reporter that interviewed Chris Watts. I'm sure we all remember in the Netflix documentary when the Watts door opens and there Zora is, and Chris is standing in there. She's got her camera all set up, so she is, in all intents and purposes, alone in there with him. They say that they need to come in and do this, look around with the dogs, and she could leave her stuff there, but she's like, no, I won't be leaving my stuff here. And so she takes her stuff and she pulls it out, and then we get the infamous Porch interview. This is what Zora is saying about that interview over on in 2018. This is what she had to say about that interview directly afterwards.
I was dayside that day. I go home and I'm sitting with my husband, and all of a sudden I get an alert. This man has confessed. So the way I got assigned this story is just kind of how most days work. We were in the morning meeting. We all go around the room with our stories. And at this point we knew that a mom and her 2 children were missing. I don't even think we knew she was pregnant at that point. And we were getting a lot of phone calls from friends who were really worried about Shanann and the 2 little girls. And at that point we said, let's go up to Frederick and interview some of them and see exactly what's going on. I make some calls to the friends, and one of the friends says she's going to meet me at the house. And then I, of course, am asking, where's the father in all of this? And she said that he was at the house too. And when the friend was explaining, the friend that I was talking to was Nicole, which was the last person to see Shanann, besides Chris Watts, of course. And so she was explaining how she had dropped Shanann off the night before. And so she said, hey, let's meet at the house. So
welcome to all those joining. Today we're looking at the Porch interview, but with a different view. We are looking through the eyes of the news reporter that actually interviewed the monster. She is saying that she is reaching out, and she is talking to everybody's bestie, in my opinion, Nicole Atkinson. If it weren't for her, I doubt this case would have been broken, certainly as soon as it was broken, but broken at all. So welcome, everybody.
That we can maybe talk to Chris Watts. When I pulled up, there was friends and family coming in and out of the house, so it kind of looked like a normal crisis scene, right? I mean, a lot of times you have people coming to console whoever is going through the rough time, right? I was alone, completely alone by myself. No other media was there at this point. Nobody.
What do you think about her being completely alone with Chris at this point? Here's a question for you guys. Do you think that anybody other than Shanann and the girls were ever in danger being around Chris Watts? Do you think he was planning to continue on with this spree? Do you think he would be willing to harm anybody and everybody that got in his way? Do you think she was in danger?
Nobody else had showed up. So it was me and my gear knocking on this man's door. I didn't know how he was going to react. And honestly, I thought he was going to kind of be combative. A lot of times when people are going through crisis, they're combative towards the media, right? If your children and kids are missing, you don't have time to talk to me. And so when I knocked on the door, I was surprised that he was very nice and welcoming. And right away he said, of course, I'll do anything. If it means going on camera, of course I'll do it. I just want my wife and kids home. And then he invited me in his home. And this is the part that really freaks me out looking back on it. I was standing in his house. I was about to set up my camera.
I will say this, I get her freak out. I would like later be like, oh my gosh, that man had his hands around a woman and children and I shook his hand, or, like I was breathing the same air as him. Like I breathed in some of his DNA, like it would freak me out.
His
Don't know if she was in danger per se, but later it would freak me out.
living room. We were going to do the interview inside, and then all of a sudden the police knocked on the door and they wanted the dogs to search the home. And so then we end up going outside because the dogs have to search the house, and when dogs search the house, you don't want any scents in the house. So we go outside and he's doing an interview and he has no emotion, right? I mean, anybody that watches that footage or any interview that you've seen of Chris Watts, he doesn't have any emotion.
And not knowing like where she is or where the kids are, I don't know what to do right now. I just feel so alone in this house right now, and I don't know where to go from here right now.
And you said you had to stay here by yourself last night. When I opened the door, it's like you're almost like.
I mean, my heart's racing a mile a minute. I mean, everything that's happening the last few days.
His face just looks horrible right here. Olga says his face or looks something screams danger. And she also said he is insane from the first interview. I was scared. Yeah, when I saw that first interview, that's when my antenna went up. I was like, what? But I think the whole world's antenna collectively went up.
It's earth-shattering right now. It's like my world's been turned upside down.
And I think that's a critical point, right? You notice he answers the questions, he kind of looks away, looks at his phone, dogs are barking in the background, but still no emotion. And he just kind of says, I have no idea where they are. I want them to come home.
It scares the living crap out of me right now, just knowing that it's come to this and that she didn't come home last night with the kids. Like, Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, if you're out there, please, just come home.
I think, and as a journalist, especially, you have managers that kind of want you to pry, right? They want you to get the friends and family. They want you to get how people are feeling. And a lot of these people, when I talk to them, they are going through it. Even people that are not direct family members, but close friends, are still not recovered from this horrific crime.
You don't know. I mean, like I said, I get it if she.
This is a perfect example of what she's talking about. Most people are going through it. They're showing some form of emotion, or they're at least trying to connect with you so that you can connect with them. Because when people are upset, they want to connect with you. They want you to agree with them. They want you to, understand what they're saying. And Chris had none of that type of connection. None of that.
It's time or space, but she would have let somebody know. I had to make the phone call to her mom yesterday.
And so as a person,
should her best friend be the one to have to make the phone call to her mother? Shouldn't that have been with the husband? I mean, that's just another red flag. These are just all red flags in hindsight, but I mean, they were red flags at the time.
I feel like you want to respect that, because imagine if this was your family.
No,
right? And I think you have to approach every situation like that and talk to people and not as a character in your story. So Tuesday is when I did the interview with Chris Watts. Wednesday, the kids and Shanann are still missing. So we go back to the house. And I even had Chris Watts's number. And he was, he was super personable. And right after my interview, we kept in touch. And then he went ghost. And when I went back the next day, the house was empty. I think a dog was inside. He was nowhere to be found. He wasn't answering.
Of course he left Dieter inside. I mean, that poor little dog. Just thank goodness that Dieter is with Frankie. And I've seen, the little dogs, they really are near and dear to my heart. And by the way, for those of you that are OG Parawoman Radio people, I have an update on Banny, the little elephant, remember, that we supported that was hit by a train? I have a good update for her at the end. But anyway, I love the little animals and the dogs, and just thank goodness that Dieter is living out the last of his life with a family that just simply adores him. He's a fat little now and is just so happy.
Calls or text. And at that point, we didn't know where he was, right? And so that story that day was they were still missing, kind of did the neighborhood story. I was dayside that day. I go home and I'm sitting with my husband, and all of a sudden I get an alert that this man has confessed.
Did she really not think
I'm at home? I think I just dropped. One, because I can't believe that this is the man that allegedly did all of this. Two, this is not a case, this is not a missing persons case anymore. Now this is a homicide investigation. And three, I was alone with this man in his house, thinking all of those things at that moment. And like I tell everybody, we see a lot of awful things with this job. And there is no possible way that you can take them all home, because you would not be able to live. But this one, I took home.
I can really relate to that as an ex-social worker. I always, I would burn out after like 5 or 6 years and have to go off and do something different. Like once I went off and I tried to be a teacher. I tried to do a few different, I tried to be a legal assistant, because social work, I just had a hard time not taking those people home with me and thinking about it. But I get what she's saying. So what do you guys think about that? Yeah, my dog was my best friend too. She was my daughter. She was my daughter, and I miss her tremendously. So she still has she's still talking, I don't mean to make it sound like, she's still talking about it, but she has said some more things about the interview since then. Here is a little short on Zora.
Yeah, I have a long list of things. But when it comes to crime, it had to be the Chris Watts case out of Colorado. There's actually a Netflix documentary. I mean, looking back on it, right? He was very normal in a situation that was not normal. Like if your whole family's missing, you may.
Oh yeah, I'm not. I'm losing it.
And he was super nice to me. We exchanged numbers and everything. Like looking back on it, super eerie.
Oh my God.
I was in his home and I was by myself. So my job right before the Bucks.
Wait. When you say by yourself, you mean?
I set up my own camera and I put it up on a tripod.
So you were by yourself?
And I was by myself with this man in his house. The only reason people came is because the police knocked on the door. And that's when we went outside and ended up doing the interview outside. And that was the turning point for me to say, I gotta figure some stuff out, because going to crime scenes every day is heavy.
Oh, that's a good point. That was her turning point. Like, should I be doing this? Is this really the safest thing for me? I had a turning point when I was going into the Jeffries projects later in life. Like, was that the smartest thing for me to do? And no, no, as a 23-year-old woman, no, alone, no. But anyway, we do these things when we're young and for our career, and we don't really think too much. Well, some people do. I wasn't smart enough, but anyway, I was extremely protected and nothing happened. And nothing happened to her. So let's keep going with talking about Zora. There is a podcast she does. I think it's maybe this podcast here. We'll take a look at it a little bit more, but I did want to go over into Reddit, and I asked Chat GBT, or no, I think I just asked Google AI to tell me a little bit more about her. They said Zora interviewed Chris Watts shortly before his arrest for the unalivings of his pregnant wife, Shanann, and their two daughters, Bella and Celeste. At the time, Stephenson was working as a reporter and was covering the missing person case. The interview took place at Watts's home, which Stevenson recalls was particularly eerie given what transpired later. During the interview, Watts discussed his family's disappearance, expressions, concerns, and appearing normal, while Stevenson later found to be shocking in hindsight. She shared her reflection on an interview on social media and interviews emphasizing the journalistic approach she took at the time. She highlighted the difficulty of maintaining objectivity while facing the realities of the case, especially after Watts' confession. Here is a little bit of this podcast. I thought we would take a listen to it and then we would head over and watch the Porch interview a little bit. Um, Hi, Ron. Well, we are looking at the Porch interview today, but kind of taking a different look at it. We're looking at it through the journalist that interviewed him. Her name is Zora Stephenson, and she has since talked about it and how she was literally standing alone in there with Chris and how it really made her rethink her life choices later. And so she kind of has stepped away from doing true crime. And now she does more, I think, sports related content. Thank you, PR. I did get your email, but I suffer from autoimmune issues. So it does take me a bit of time to reply to people. I'm always upfront about that. I can only do so much in a day, which I wish I could do more. I just wish I didn't have this autoimmune. But anyway, I did get it, and I will get back to you, I promise. Thank you for popping in. The only thing you got from that is I like my t-shirt. Yeah, and that was the t-shirt that Shanann bought him. And he kept that shirt on for a few days, didn't he? Indeed. So we're going to go in and we're going to listen to a podcast where Zora's talking about it. And then we're going to pop over and take a look at the Porch interview. But I thought we would take a look at the Porch interview, the segment where we had Indigo. She's a behavioral analysis on. And I thought we would listen to her analysis, take a re-listen of her analysis of the Porch interview when we had her on the Power Network. This is Amy, and be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Every little thing helps us. And if you really like my content, if you share it, YouTube is really trying to push out their community section now. I don't know if you guys know this, but now you can post on creators community sections, like as if you were posting on Facebook, or like you can post on their pages. Some have to approve it, but you can do that now. I think it's only on your phone, but they are trying to push this out. And so if you could share to your community page, that would help me out tremendously. Thanks, guys.
Welcome to another episode of Analysis Podcast. Man, that got me working. That one of them episodes back to back.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find time.
I don't even know if I know anybody that says that I saw the Porch interview and I felt sorry for him, or I saw the Porch interview and I just hoped he found his family. I don't know anybody who has said that. Oh.
Today, we have one of the special guests. We got to do our intro, right? From VN, Virginia. Number one.
Okay, I'm with it.
Zora Big Z Stephenson. Hey, hold on.
Wait, that's funny because in college they did call me Big Z.
I know.
Oh,
do research.
Research.
Oh, buddy, thanks so much for being here. I know you're busy. I know the schedule is crazy for us too. I'm trying to 5
years. Was a captain for 3 of those years, and
find time to shoot these. But man, I really want to,
I'm sure he's going to start out asking a little background on her. So we'll listen to a little bit of her background and then we'll pop over to the analysis.
Your fan base, our fan base, people out there, people who are listening, watching, to know more about you.
Yeah.
So
I will say this is weird for me. I'm used to asking the questions, so I'll try to do my best.
okay, let's get it. Yeah. So talk to me. So
Okay,
how,
I don't mean to keep relating to her, but seeing as I've been doing podcasting for a while, it always is weird for me to be interviewed or or to go on another um show, especially if they're new and they don't quite know how to work the board or something. It's hard for me not to want to help, or like I never know, do you want me to help? Don't you want me? Like it's just really hard when you do it to have it. Like I imagine they say doctors don't make good patients, and probably with any profession, you don't make a good whatever on the opposite side.
how did you like? How did you start? Like, first of all, you had a great basketball career, right? And I don't know if a lot of people know this too. And I would like for you to like talk about that. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I played Division I basketball at Elon University 4 years. Was a captain for 3 of those years.
Mhm.
And I had one job. That was to shoot the basketball. That's what I did. Right side, right corner, right wing. All the years like growing up playing basketball, I tried to
That
incorporate
makes
like
sense.
getting to the rim.
That makes sense why she would get into doing sports reporting. I could never do sports reporting because number one, sports don't interest me. The only reason I do a sports, like I would even go to a sports thing, would be to people watch. And two, I don't know anything about sports. And probably if I could throw in a three, I am very not coordinated. So sports have never been my thing. I've just never been able to do them. Although I had a friend growing up that was like, I had like 3 friends. I was like in the Spice Girls, but none of them liked each other. So one was like very tomboy. So we would play like horse and basketball and run the streets and King of the Hill. And then I had another friend whose name was Wednesday. She was into the acting and the drama, and we would sing and act and do plays together. And then I had another friend who was into playing house and dolls and stuff like that, and none of them liked each other. So I would just kind of move from group to group, and yeah. So
Things.
I don't
And
know.
those are the stories that keep you motivated and keep
keep
you
you
going.
motivated, keep you going, keep
Yeah.
you going. And it's like I would feel like I can't even tell bad news. Sometimes I mean I'll go, growing older, like getting older, you get more mature. You're like, okay, it's life. You get to understand what's what. But when I was young, I couldn't even say bad news to my
All those things they get.
yes.
And so I try to share those stories, and because I'm around you all so much, I can tell if somebody's having like a day. Like, all right, I try to like help.
you'd be like,
Yeah.
So I will put this down in the links in the show notes if you want to watch her interview. I don't think she talks too much about the Watts interview, except the part that I played for you just before it. So you remember your childhood friends, and I'm still friends with those friends that I met in the 2nd grade. I'm friends with friends in the 2nd grade. I don't really have any high school friends. They were still my high school friends, but we moved away, and I only went to high school with one of them. And then I'm friends with a lot of my college friends. I don't have a lot of friends, but I keep friends, if that makes any sense. And that's the way I would rather have it, the few good friends. So this was an interview that we did with Indigo, and we went over the Porch interview. We're going to take a quick look at it and see what she has to say.
In social media, I would say.
That's a good point. Oh, that's a good point, actually.
Amy, I have to think that's happened to you because I feel like you're an empath too.
Oh, let me take it back.
Hey, like, have you ever had that feeling when you just like look at someone and you're picking up a vibe that something's wrong, or they just need someone to be like, say something kind?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. I always feel so sorry for people. And I mean, it's one of those things that, like I said, I don't actively analyze, but there are things like that you can just naturally pick
I
up.
wonder if the news reporter picked up any kind of vibe. Like, was she feeling sorry for Chris? Was she like kind of not wondering what was like? like it just seems so weird? Or was she like, sometimes when you're in the middle of a job, you don't think about what you're doing too much until later. Was it like laying in bed, going over the day's events? Like, that was weird. That's weird. Was it that thing, or was it like feeling weird right up while she was doing it?
On without knowing things about micro expressions and and in most situations people aren't trying to be performative, people aren't trying to be deceitful just in everyday life most of the time. It that really happens more in social media, I would say.
That's a good
Really?
point. Oh, that's a good point, actually.
Amy, I have to think that's happened to you because I feel like you're an empath too.
Oh, yeah, but I have learned to
Stay in your lane, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I don't like, you can't save the world. I'm at that point where I'm in a very like self-serving mode right now where I can't save the world. I want to. Everybody needs to get into that kind of lane where we save ourselves first. It's kind of like put the mask on yourself first and then try to save others, because I think so many people were told to try to save others and everybody's drowning. And so I am very selfish about my time, my energy, who I give it to, who I don't give it to. Yeah. So I think when you've touched hell and kissed it and made friends with it, you can do just about anything. And that's how I feel. So, um, I, I imagine the news reporter did pick up a vibe. I want to, I really do, but I just can't. So
yeah, it gets draining. It gets draining.
You got to let other people do it. Some of the work. So Chris Watts, I think one of the most famous interviews that he gave was his summit on the porch. So on August 18th, his family went missing. And then the next day, this was August 19th, he's standing on a porch in a t-shirt that his wife bought him, begging for his family to come home and barrel rush him. And I think a lot of people, when they talk about the Watts case, this is the interview that they knew that something was amiss. This was it. So this is like an easy one, Indigo, I'm sure. But I thought we would start with this one.
Okay, yeah, I've actually never seen this one personally.
Oh, you have?
Really?
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, I've avoided so much of the case.
Okay, there's two of them. He did two of them. I've got them both for tonight. I've got this interview, and then I also want you to look at Nicole Kessinger's walk down the aisle at the funeral.
Okay.
We looked at Nicole Kessinger's walk down the aisle. Marco says, I love you ladies. I remember when I first started on this case years ago and watching that scene where we see the reporter. So they then get kicked out. Yeah. And it's so interesting that later that news reporter, it dawned on her like how scary it was that she was alone with him. I didn't realize she was all alone in there with him. I thought she had a cameraman or something with her. So that scares me for her. I needed a walk. Although my question earlier to the audience, and it's to the audience now, do you think that news reporter or anybody was ever in danger from Chris Watts? Or do you think it was just literally Shanann and the girls and the baby that were ever in danger? Or do you think if the Ruchaks had been around, would they have been in danger? Or do you think it was solely Shanann and the girls and the baby?
You're making it sound like there was a wedding, Amy, walking down the aisle.
Walking down the aisle at the funeral.
I mean,
okay, let me
walking down
forward. Okay.
Sure. I'll just wait for you to ask questions, but like it's the most important thing. Like I'm not sure. I'll just wait for you to ask questions.
Yes,
like,
I actually accidentally said she was walking down the aisle at the funeral or at the wedding, but it was a funeral.
I want them wherever they're at. Like I have no inclination of where they're at right now. Like I've exhausted like every friend that I know of, and every friend that I have has called friends that Shanann has that maybe I didn't know about, and it's just like it's vanished. Like she's not like when I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town. Like she wasn't here.
Can you pause here?
Yep.
So the first few things I want to point out here are that there's no drooping of features. There's no exhaustion. The lower palpable fissures under his eyes there are not drooping. There's no indication that he's in any distress about this. No grief. There's no glabellar furrowing inwards. There's no indication that he has any grief around this, which is just a huge sign that he's guilty of something. But there was some eye blocking there when he says wherever. He says the word wherever and his eyes close. It's very subtle, but there's some eye blocking there when he has no blink rate.
Chris has a really hard time making eye contact. I actually do feel sorry for people that struggle with that, because that's a sort of important thing in life to be able to do. PR says, I got you ladies. Autonophobia is our natural facial recognition evolution. We became vile when we don't have to look people in the face. Yeah, that is a huge problem with social media. People can't read text as well as they can our expressions. That face does everything, though. That it's the working face, like in his eyes too, say a lot, in my opinion. He's got black eyes. Like his eyes are kind of dead to me. He wouldn't off the reporter too much risk. Yeah. No emotions at all. It was interesting that it was a ghost town in there. Oh, geez. Do you guys ever get those moments where you're actually thinking about the case and you're like standing in the living room, or you're just like putting yourself there? I just had that moment of standing in that empty house, and it gives me shivers.
From,
or those moments where you're talking about the little girls and you realize that they're no longer here. It's just like, oh.
What's considered his baseline in this video. So already right off the bat, there's something there. Now, of course, we know he is guilty, but just those things I wanted to point out right off the bat.
Just those things alone, like, just jumped right out at you.
Right. If we didn't know already what had taken place, then that would be pretty alarming and could indicate guilt just right off the bat. If we didn't already know that he was, then that's something I would look for.
Let me ask you a question. A lot of people say when people are lying, they look up to the left or to the right. Is that a myth, or is there some logic to this?
There's no scientific study proving either. Now, I have taken courses where that's actually been taught, where eye accessing could be up to the left or right, but when it's more emotional, it would be down. And in regards to the past and the future, you look to your left for the past and your right to the future. And I believe to an extent that could be true, but there's no scientific evidence proving that wrong or right. With eye accessing, it just gives you more time to think about what you're going to say. It's recalling information. And I think it depends, but I don't believe that that is an indicator, especially not on its own, of deception.
I have heard that looking up and indicates past, future, or something like that. Does anyone else do this? Like when to test it, you're like, you try to think of a thought and then you like look where you're looking.
Yeah. See, I look up a lot, and I think that's because sometimes I lose my train of thought with the brain fog, but it's more like I'm looking up at, like for the thought to, pop in my head or something. And I'm like, it's not that I'm deceiving. It's just like, I'm thinking, I don't know.
Well, context matters a ton, of course. If it's something that like as factual and simple as your name, for instance, obviously now that's so simplistic there, but just something factual and that you shouldn't have to recall and think about, that might indicate, along with other clusters of behavior, something else is going on, that you might be deceptive there. So usually that itself is just, like you said, thinking, wondering, you're trying to remember what you were going to say or what you're going to say, things like that.
Yeah, that is actually a really good point, Ron. He points out that it's funny, he stayed at his buddy the Thayer's house Tuesday night, and the dad was pretty shaken up that he was in the room next to their daughter. Yeah. So, I mean, the Thayers actually probably had some thoughts about harm and what Chris Watts might or might not do. Let's go forward because we talk more about the interview.
You say locking eyes, there's no indications of stress there. And this is more typical with a psychopath, with someone who has antisocial personality disorder. And it's also very controlling, trying to come across as believable, open, honest. Look, I'm making eye contact. I'm not looking away. My eyes aren't shifting away from you. Therefore, I'm honest. And so that
I'm
is
not nervous. Yeah.
That
Right.
probably, her not knowing that Chris is a hard one to make eye contact, the fact that he was making eye contact, probably like when his family and friends saw it, they were probably like, what the heck's going on there? He never makes eye contact with me.
definitely.
Before we go on, I just realized I forgot to say that we're coming to you today on Facebook, YouTube. Let's keep going.
That could definitely change the way.
Camera to shoot.
So the question was, what happens if before the interview, Chris took like a Xanax?
For them to watch the news that night. Because if this were me, I would be like,
You analyze body language, it could change the meaning behind it. So that could be possible.
thrive patch.
I don't think that's what we're seeing, but I believe that could be possible.
I have heard people take Xanax or something like that to for a polygraph. So it seems like they could do it for that too.
That's interesting. Because physically it would calm your heart rate down.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I
It'd
think
be interesting to take a poly without Xanax and with it and see how different it is, you know?
Well, the thing that I want to point out is that, or I guess is that when you keep your eyes open for a long period of time, your eyes normally water up. I personally don't have enough experience with something like that to say for sure that would change the natural tearing up.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes it more interesting. Again, when we're seeing something like this and there are no tears and there's no blink rate, I believe with the stress, there would still be somewhat of a blink rate there. There would be something there. It wouldn't be like this where there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's just no panic whatsoever. Your kids are missing. Like,
right.
No panic whatsoever.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back into it.
I have no idea like where they went. And it's earth shattering. I don't feel like this is even real right now. It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from.
Chris, when did you learn that they weren't here?
I guess I texted her a few times, called her, I didn't get a response, which that was a little off. And then her friend Nicole showed up about a little afternoon. I see it on the doorbell camera. And I was like, hey, what's going on? She's like, I can't get a hold of Shanann. And that's when I was just like, all right, something's not right. If she's not answering the door, she said the car was here. It's like, I got to go home. And we got here, got inside, and nobody was here. Nothing.
And so I read that Shanann kind of.
What is all the lipping about?
So that's
why can't I say that? Licking. Jeez. Sorry.
Now we're seeing more indications of stress with the increased blink rate and the lip licking, but we're not seeing eyebrow flashes or forehead creasing, no raising the eyebrows, no illustrations, no movements that emphasize what he's saying. So that nervousness coming around this being brought up, this being a nightmare, this Nicole showing up and all of these things coming up, he's not emphasizing the parts we should see him emphasize. He's not raising his eyes and emphasizing certain things. He's being more nervous about this, more stressed about this. And it doesn't make sense to be more stressed about this than prior to this where naturally he's talking about they're missing, and it's just an interesting time for all of this nervousness to appear. But that lip licking there, it can be a self-grooming behavior if you're concerned about how you look on TV in an interview, but that would be more consistent. And it might be throughout this interview, possibly. We haven't watched the whole thing, but so far appearing around this part is more an indication of nervousness. Our mouth dries up when we're stressed, particularly when we're being deceitful, not always, but a lot of the time it's when we're being deceitful. And so that's what we're seeing here.
It is strange. He's not even, that's a good point. Nothing is moving up here at all.
Yes.
He looks like he might have some Botox done, honestly. He has no, I mean, for real, he has like no wrinkles. Can we pin Daniel's comment? He has a pharmaceutical background. And I just thought that was interesting about the Xanax. No, Daniel.
Oh,
Daniel
I don't see. Oh, this one?
I can't. Yeah, I couldn't figure out why I can't pin. I don't know. That's weird.
I think it's because of the whole thing. I didn't add. I think you changed your email or something. I don't think we're merged tonight.
I've heard the theory of the lip licking as washing lies away. Have you guys ever heard that kind of analogy?
I personally have never heard that. I just know that is an indication of stress or it's self-grooming, but self-grooming would come with a lot of other things, pushing hair back and just other behaviors that indicate he's more concerned with how he looks than what's taking place. And that in itself
he doesn't have any hair to push back. He's got a bowl cut or whatever that is. No, I cannot imagine him with Casey Anthony. I feel like Casey Anthony wouldn't be with Chris Watts because Chris Watts is too wimpy.
Be strange when he's discussing his wife and daughter's missing and what's going on. That would still be strange. But
I feel like Chris Watts would have ended up in incel, except for the fact that he has the ability to take on the likes and desires of whoever he is going after. He becomes that person. He becomes their likes, and what they like, he likes, and and he just makes himself invaluable. But I do think that he has real incel potential.
I don't believe that that's what we're seeing here. It's nervousness, it's anxiety. That with the increased blink rate as he goes from locked in to blinking tells me that he's more nervous than anything else.
That's interesting.
Gerald's 2 cents asks, he says he has no memory of the Porch interviews. Is he lying, or was he in some sort of psychosis?
There are no indications of psychosis that I'm personally seeing.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's in any kind of psychosis to me. I wouldn't say he was. But I don't ever diagnose people, so I don't want to weigh in on that either. I don't want to say what Chris is or isn't. Dry mouth is definitely a sign of high emotional stress, Daniel says. I think that's the key to being careful with creators, the ones that will straight out diagnose somebody. Anybody with any background in psychology, sociology, anything like that, they will not diagnose someone. They can say that they show these characteristics or these traits, but they won't say they have this. It's unethical.
Yeah, because like Bella was going to start kindergarten next Monday, and they're just getting ready to start back again.
You see him with Gypsy. Yeah, I just caught this. He's literally on the camera lying to the news crew. He knew that Bella was supposed to start school today or yesterday, right?
He kind of pauses too.
There's that verbal distancing as well, or not distancing, it's in the past tense instead of she's supposed to start. If we can find her, he already is confirming in that manner that she might be gone, that he believes she's gone, deceased. But then that with the lip compression, you're seeing here him holding back something, thoughts, words, emotions. Just lip compressing is usually the holding back of something.
Oh.
You know what's interesting too, you guys, is Nicole set up this news interview, all the crews to come out, and he texted Sandy and said, "Should I do it?" Sandy said, "I wouldn't do it if I were you."
Yeah.
Thank God he did.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, thank goodness for Nicole Atkinson. I will put the link for this if you want to watch the entire live on the analysis. We did the first Porch interview, but I don't think we got to the second one. And over on Reddit, to wrap up this show, about the reporter Zora Stephenson. They were talking about her over there, and she is known for this. This is another one of those videos that is no longer available, but people are talking about it, and that Zora is the best and will likely lose her to a national gig, which they did. Someone offered the Enter Coen Bros to do a reality. Thanos said that to him. New York has the best. I don't know what any of that means, but she won an award. Zora is the GOAT sideline reporter. She's overqualified, really. So the desire to do play by play makes sense. Zora is going places down here. People are talking about the interview. That Chris Watts case really haunted me for a while after watching that Netflix doc. So disturbingly evil. Can't believe our girl Zora interviewed that man alone. And people are like me, wow, I just didn't realize that she was all alone with him in the house, which I don't think she was under any danger, but just the thought of it, like, makes me feel like she was in danger. I guess because you just never know what a schmurderer will do. I mean, and just not a one-time schmurderer, a four-time schmurderer. So, and I consider the baby schmurder. So, yeah, I can kind of see him with Gypsy. By the way, speaking of Gypsy Rose, that's a crazy case that's happening, isn't it? Ugh. I really am enjoying Into the Weeds podcast and them pulling out all of the texts from when she was in prison. And I really appreciate 1980 Millennial working with her and organizing them all, because it sounds like they didn't come in order. They just like threw a bunch of text at them without the names attached to them, and they're just trying to figure it out. Uh, do you think this is going to be the nail in Gypsy Rose's baby influencer coffin? I hope so. I hope this destroys any plans of that, at least. I don't think we're ever going to get rid of her, because she's a new breed of person that has come out into the world where you just can't shame them. I mean, Schmurder doesn't even shame her. So if you can't shame a Schmurder, I mean, she's teaching the world. She's teaching the world, and it's getting crazier out there, you guys. So my suggestion is just to hunker down and take care of yourself. We've not been taught to do that, but that's my suggestions. And speaking of something that I'm really proud of, I wanted to this is for all the OG people that were with me in the beginning. The channel's been around for a long time. We started in October, like 15 years ago, but I didn't really start doing anything with the channel until like 3 years ago. And we have always chosen a something to support, to put some of our money that we make. I can't donate a lot because well, some weeks I have to borrow money to even eat. There's that. So but I do try to do I believe that you do need to give back. And so in the very beginning, we gave back to this little baby elephant that was hit by a train. I don't know if you remember that. I pulled up one of our old lives, and this was our intro at the time, and it included a little blip about baby Banny. Let me make sure I have it up on the screen. I don't. Women Radio, I'm Hannah. Hannah. 'Cause And we ended up donating about $50, a little over $50 to her rehabilitation. And just today, I saw that the dodo has an update with her. We moved over. Now we donate to Rocky Kanaka's Sitting with Dogs. Banny is back on her feet, but I just wanted to show you this dodo clip of Banny and her rehabilitation and what your money donated to this channel did for this little baby elephant. We bought her 2 bottles. They were 25 and some odd cents a piece.
A speeding train hit this baby elephant and left her unable to walk. Her herd was traumatized and unfortunately had to leave her. Wildlife SOS was called to see if they could save her.
You will be all right. Keep the spirit.
After the train hit her, her body was paralyzed and traumatized. All she could really move was her ears and her trunk. She used her trunk to communicate how grateful she was to her.
She was hit with her mother. Her mother did not survive, and she was found by her mother. Wildlife SOS rescued her.
Caretakers. She formed such a strong bond with the humans helping her almost immediately.
No, that's not my music.
And was just so grateful as they gave her a milk bottle, as they fed her bananas, as they gave her words of encouragement. She loved it all.
Those milk bottles.
Unfortunately, an elephant being paralyzed is usually fatal, as they are large animals who constantly need to work their muscles and exercise.
I was so worried at this point because I was like, she's an elephant. She's got to be able to stand up. But every time I see her drinking those bottles, I just envision that it was one of our bottles that we bought her.
But her caretakers were determined to try everything to see her walk again. They could see how much she wanted to live. They started physical therapy to try to repair the muscles as her spine healed. First, they used a massage gun to provide relief to her muscles. Then they moved on to oil massages. Bonnie receives 2 massages every single day, aimed at warming her muscles and keeping them active to prevent atrophy as her bones heal themselves. Not only were the massages amazing for her muscles, but she just loved being around her people who she's come to know as her family. They started to see some movement in her legs and her ears, which was an amazing sign. So they moved on to doing acupuncture on her.
2 minutes completed. When things are all fine.
Which yielded amazing results as well. She was ready to be propped up by her care team. This is the first time she's been sitting up since the accident, and she can hold herself up. Eventually, she was able to stand and take a few baby steps here and there.
Be fine.
This is the first time she was standing up all on her own. She was especially motivated by tasty snacks to take her baby steps. And she started playing and getting bath like any baby elephant should.
And so they say now she does have a bit of a strange gait to her, but she is a walking baby elephant, a walking happy baby elephant. And so we are really, really proud to have supported her in her rehabilitation. Now we are supporting this channel, Sitting with Dogs, Rocky Kanaka. We are channel members, and I will often put dogs that are looking for homes in our community tab section. I do that for you guys. So I know, go baby, go. Isn't it just make you feel really good to know that just watching this channel helped watch that little baby elephant walk? I mean, I just doing the little that I've done, just, I don't know, it makes me feel good helping. And Yeah, I know. I got a feeling that it's gonna be okay for baby Banny, and like we've got to hold on to the wins in life, and I think this was a definite win for baby Banny. So what do you think about today's show? Do you think that put down in the comments, do you think that that news reporter was ever in any danger, or do you think anybody else in the world was ever in any danger? I have asked you guys before, do you think Chris Watts would you know again? And most of you have said no. So it's just strictly a punishment for him why he's in prison, not to prevent him from doing it again. But I don't know. I don't think you can trust him not to do it again. I mean, once he did it 4 times. So okay, guys, I'm gonna go. Oh, before I go, have you guys considered becoming a Power Dragonfly? That is our channel membership over on YouTube. It is $2.99 a month. I will put the link down in the show notes. I pinned it in the chat. It's like I said, $2.99 a month. It's just a way to support us. I give you some added content. You get to know me. I tell you a little bit more about me over in the Dragonflies. I'm still trying to open up. I'm a really closed off person, and I'm still trying to open up because I know like you want to know more about me, but then sometimes I think you don't want to know more about me. So I don't know. Over in the Dragonflies, I'm more likely to talk a little bit more about myself. But anyway, so if as a creator you want to know me a little bit more, there's that too. But really, it's just a way for if you like my content and you want to give me a little added support. It's set up for that. So, and I appreciate you guys, and I love you. And if nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I'm still going to tell you guys this. I love you guys so, so much. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. If you're not subscribed, why are you not subscribed? I would really, really, really love to have you as a Power subscriber. If you really like my content, be sure to become a Dragonfly, and that's our membership, and it's $2.99 a month. I release all my videos early. We have special emojis over in the chat room. I kind of share things ahead of time with my Dragonflies, and I go live sometimes just for the Dragonflies. It's a way that I can support you guys and give you more content, and it's a way for you to support our channel. It's $2.99 a month, and I would love to have you.
I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep.
Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Helps me go out into the algorithm party out there. Bring more people back to the party. It's just a free way to help me.
Falling out, hoping for some time with you.